Hey everybody, it's Dayna from the Hardin County Extension Office, and just wanted to take a couple of minutes to talk to you about air fryers. I typically go to the library at the end of each month and we cook through a calendar, but when we were trying to decide what sort of online classes to do, we realized that we don't really know what ingredients people have in their home, who's able to get to the store, what the store has, and so we decided to focus on appliances instead. So I hear a lot right now that this is a time that people are ordering appliances because they have time to figure some out. This is also the perfect time to get out those appliances that maybe you got for Christmas a couple years ago. I hear that a lot, that so-and-so gave me that for Christmas, but I've not even gotten it out of the box. And so this is a great time to get it out of the box, figure it out. We'll focus on air fryers today. We'll do some other appliances later on. And I'm gonna make it fairly short and quick and basic because really the air fryer is so simple to use that there's not a lot to it. But also I know that attention spans for online videos and this new way of learning is a little bit shorter and harder, and that's totally understandable and okay. I will give a disclaimer that my 6-month-old is in the living room, so there's no telling when she will holler out, but we'll try to get through this without making too much racket. So first thing I want to talk to you about is just what even is an air fryer. They have really blown up the past couple of years in popularity, and what it is, it started with the intent of taking those fried foods that we tend to love in our country and figuring out a way to make them a little bit healthier. And so what it does is it essentially gives us that fried food finish, but without all the oil. And so it fries using air, typically a little bit of olive oil in our recipes with this, but it gives you that end product without all the fat and the grease and the oil. And so we not only are going to see a lot of health benefits from using an appliance like the air fryer, but some financial savings as well. So typically foods that you either fry in big pots of oil or things that you make in your oven can be made in your air fryer. So we're saving money on oil. We are saving money on the electricity cost of running our oven or our stove or whatever that is versus actually using the air fryer. And then we also are saving it in the heating and cooling of our home because we're not using those appliances that make our house so hot sometimes. So there are a lot of financial benefits to the air fryer as well as those health benefits as well. And so I just kind of want to show you the basics of an air fryer and what it is and what it does and everything that it can do. So one thing that I want to point out is that if you are someone that you don't eat a lot of fried foods, that doesn't mean it's something to dismiss the air fryer for. The air fryer could still be a great appliance for you because you can do so much more in it than just fried foods. So you can see here, my air fryer is kind of middle of the road. You can find air fryers that are even more basic than this one that just have dials, and then you can find air fryers that are much more complex. But this is a good one just to show you some of the options that you can have, but really what you may not even need. So parts of an air fryer. We have the air fryer itself, and that is this entire thing. And then you're going to see, unless you have an air oven, which maybe has a door that opens, the majority of air fryers are going to have this basket that you just pull out with the handle. I have a rack in mine, which I'll talk to you about in a minute. But they're going to have the actual air fryer, and the heating element is going to be here on the bottom. Some you'll find it's on the top, but the majority of them are on the bottom. And then you're going to have this basket. So there's two parts to the basket. I tend to refer to it as the basket itself, which you'll see has the holes, some ventilation in there, and then the base. And so your food is going to go in your basket. You're going to click your basket into your base. And then you are just going to take it and pop it right into your air fryer. I have mine plugged in. I don't have it turned on yet, but I'm going to show you how that works as well. There are extra accessories that you can get for your air fryer. I used to have a whole basket full, but then I really figured out that I only ever use the rack. And so we gave the other ones away. But you can find rack, pizza pans, silicone mats, kebab sticks, different things like that. For us, the rack gives us a way to make twice as much food or maybe make a side and make some meat at the same time. And so there are some benefits to some of those, but I'll share some tips with you later on. You may not need to purchase those things that say air fryer. You may be able to use what you have in your house in your appliance as well and save some money. So every air fryer is going to kind of work the same way. It's going to heat up very quickly, and it's going to cook your food just with the circulation of air. And so you take your food, you put it in there, and then it's going to give you this screen when you turn it on. My air fryer defaults to 15 minutes at 370 degrees. Other air fryers may do different temperatures, times, things like that. But no matter what, for whatever you're cooking, you just need to know the time that you want to put your recipe on and the temperature. So my air fryer can cook between 170 and 400 degrees. I've seen that to be pretty standard on most different brands. And then I just set that time. Once I decide what I want, so let's do 390 at 11 minutes. I'm going to hit start. My food is in there. It's in that basket. Whether I'm using the rack or not, doesn't matter. I start it. It's going to let me know that it's going. You can hear it as well. But there's a couple of things, and I'm starting it to show you a couple of things that I really like about the air fryer. One being that, say I'm making zucchini fries in here, and so I've got them battered and I've got my zucchini fries in, and so I want to check them and maybe even toss them midway through. And so I can do that by just opening this up. It stops cooking. I can pull this out. I can check on my food, toss my food around, and then I can pop it right back in. It automatically starts going again. I don't have to press anything. I don't have to keep up with the time that it was on, anything like that. It just goes right away. Now, say that I checked my food and it still had 5 minutes to go, and I thought, that is not near enough time. I can up the time mid-cook. I can also lower the time mid-cook if I realize that maybe I'm going to burn my food if I keep going. And I also can increase and decrease temperature as well. So that's one of the things I really like, how versatile it is. It's very cook-friendly, especially if you're a beginner of, oh gosh, I maybe got that a little bit too hot and need it to be lower. You can do that right away. There are all these buttons, and I'm going to put this time down really low so it'll go off while we're doing it so you can hear how it ends. But there's all these different options that you can use for your air fryer as well. Some have even more options than this one here. This has fish, cake, pork, shrimp, steak, chicken, chips, and warm. I've had this air fryer for more than 2 years, and I don't use them. I used the chicken button once, and I just didn't really feel like I got that different of an end product, and so I stick to time and temperature. If you want to play around with it, you can. You will find some air fryers that even don't have these options. They just have time and temperature, and some of them even just have a dial. So you dial into the time you want, and you dial into the temperature you want, you hit start, and you're good to go. It's going to let us know when it's done. It rotates between the amount of time that's left and the temperature that you have it on, which is nice because as you're busy doing other things, you can check on it and know about how much time you have left. But it's gonna let us know when it's done. And one of the other things that I really like about the air fryer is when it's done, it stops cooking. And so I can leave my food in there if I want it to be warm for whenever I serve it, or I can take the basket out right away and serve my food. But a lot of times if I'm making, say, zucchini fries or something while my husband is grilling, if they finish first and I want them to stay warm, I just leave them in the basket. And I don't have to worry about them continuing to cook or anything like that. So that's let us know that our food is done. And again, we would just either pop that basket out or leave it in there, whatever we needed. The heating element, again, for this one is on the bottom. This base does get warm, but the handle does not. And so that's a nice safety feature. And then I just take this button and pop this out, and my food stays in there. Any crumbs or anything typically fall in the basket. This is dishwasher safe. And so I can just wash it really quickly and easily. And then I can let my food cool down in here, and then I can serve it. So we tend to just dump it straight out of the basket onto our plates. Or if we're serving at the table, dump it into a nice dish, something like that. Very simple, very cost efficient, easy to use. I have to admit, this is the only appliance that stays out on our counter because we use it so often. We bought it because my husband loves fried food. So chicken strips, fried fish, fried squash, things like that are really, unfortunately, his go-tos. And so I started looking into the air fryer in a way to help him health-wise, to not have all that fat and things like that. But we just have really figured out all the different things that you can do with it, and we use it for so much more than fried foods now. So for you, how to decide what kind of air fryer you should get, or if you should even get an air fryer. So there are lots of appliances on the market right now that sound grand and really just seem like they should be for everybody. But if you're not going to use them, then it's not worth spending the money. If you are someone who uses your oven a lot, if you're someone who likes fried food, even if you're someone who doesn't like fried food, but you like the convenience of being able to cook something really quickly, but have that oven taste instead of maybe compared to the microwave or something like that, then there is a potential that you would use your air fryer quite a bit. Now, this size, I think this is a 4-quart air fryer, and this works well for my husband and I. But if we had children yet who were of solid food eating age, we would probably need a larger one than this. So again, we use the rack to be able to cook twice as much food, and that does help. And this works really well for us. We can make enough to serve ourselves for lunch or dinner, and maybe even have a couple of leftovers. But if we had a bigger family, I would get a larger one. It goes all the way up to even an air oven size. I was able to fry an entire turkey breast in an air oven once. But for just our everyday use, that air oven is too large for us. And so we didn't need to spend that money. I actually borrowed it from a friend. And so look at the size. And one thing to consider, some air fryers, if you're actually looking at the product itself, seem really large. But once you pull that basket out, it's quite a bit smaller. And so make sure you're actually looking at the basket size when you look at the size that you need your air fryer to be. The other thing is the shape of your air fryer. So this one is round. You can actually use oven safe dishes in your air fryer. So if you don't want the cleanup of the baskets and things, say you're making brownies. I've made brownies before in my air fryer. I used parchment paper to line my air fryer, but you could put them in some sort of oven safe dish. And so if all my oven safe dishes are a little bit larger than this, and maybe they're square, I need to be looking for an air fryer that my dishes could fit in. And then you just are going to use it more, and then it's more worth your money. And so a couple of things to consider. Another thing to consider, and I'm going at this from a weird angle there. Another thing to consider is, do you have the counter space? And so if you are the type of person that if it's sitting in a closet and you think, well, I'll just get it out when I need it, but you're an out of sight, out of mind type of person and you're never going to get it back out, then it may not be for you. We actually just moved, and in our old house, we didn't have counter space at all. And so we used our air fryer so much that we actually just had to leave it out on the table. While some of our other appliances, we just didn't use because we didn't have the counter space for them. And when you don't see it every day, you tend to use it less. As I said before, this is the only appliance that actually sits out because we do use it so much. And so that was one thing that we wanted to consider. So for us, it was worth the money, well worth the money. And I really think that the air fryer is so versatile that it can be worth the money for a lot of families. Typically, if it's not used, it's just people are unfamiliar with it, so they're not sure what all they can make in it. They tend to think that it's only for fried foods, and that is not true at all. You can make steak and pork chops and bacon and biscuits and all these different things that you wouldn't think of when you hear the word fryer. And then again, size. And so just making sure that you're getting the right size for your family. So another quick tip, and then I'll talk to you a little bit about some of the foods that you can make in the air fryer, is I talked about it's typically things that you make in the oven is how we just justify an air fryer purchase a lot of times. But say you cook in your oven at 350 degrees for 40 minutes. That doesn't mean that you're going to cook at 350 degrees for 40 minutes in your air fryer. So we tend to reduce the temperature about 25%, and then we also reduce the time about 20%. That tends to be a good starting place, and then we just kind of check on our food from there. You also always want to use the meat thermometer, even if you're cooking in the air fryer, to make sure that you're getting your meats to a food safe temperature. But there is a chance that those first couple times that you use it, if you were just following traditional oven instructions, that you probably burnt your food. And so then maybe you think that the air fryer isn't for you. But do some simple conversion, and it really can be. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the foods that you can make, and then I'll come back and we'll talk about a couple of other little tips that I have for you. And then I'm actually going to be, even though this is pre-recorded, I'm actually going to be watching the comment section when this is posted. And so I'll answer any of your questions as well as share some recipes and things with you in the comment box of this video. So please interact. Make sure that you get your questions that you have about air fryers answered, and we'll go from there. So let me talk to you about the foods, and then I'll see you back here. All right, I also wanted to get up close and show you some of the different things that I have made in my air fryer personally, but also note that this doesn't even begin to cover the number of things that you can make in your air fryer. So I frequently make meat in the air fryer, fish, all different ways. I've done fried fish, traditionally what we think of with fried food. I've just done a baked fish in a sense. I've done chicken. We've got chicken breast here. I've got ground beef. You can make meatballs. You can make stuffed peppers, stuffed mushrooms, different things like that. I've got a steak here. You can make steak that you would just traditionally eat. You can make steak for fajitas. This is turkey that my husband harvested this year that I have actually air fried an entire turkey breast before as well. And so different things that you can do besides just that traditional fried thing that we think of. But again, if you do like those fried foods, and we enjoy them as well, they are much more healthy in the air fryer, which is such a big bonus to it. These are some sweet potato fries that I made just a couple minutes ago. It says to toss them in olive oil and then coat them with salt. I actually use a Southwest seasoning. First, I like the taste of it better. Second, lower in sodium, so I'm really getting that benefit of a fried food with even more health by taking away that salt as well. You can make corn on the cob. We've got baked potatoes here. These are just frozen chicken nuggets. So the air fryer is great for convenience foods. If you're someone who loves to use your oven because of the taste that it gives those convenience foods over the microwave, you really are going to find the best of both worlds with the air fryer. So it's going to taste like they were made in the oven, but be much quicker. Not as quick as the microwave, but much quicker to really get that same good flavor. I've made brownies in my air fryer before. I've made biscuits in my air fryer before. I use parchment paper as a liner whenever I do those, just for easier cleanup, things like that. I have done Brussels sprouts in my air fryer. I put those in a ramekin because I put some seasoning and some different things on them. I've made croutons. I've made bacon. I've made eggs in a basket. You can make steak, fajitas, pork chops, chicken breast, chicken wings, fried chicken, shrimp, fish, kebabs, salmon, pizza. I will make one note. We actually love to reheat in our air fryer, and so we didn't traditionally eat a lot of leftover pizza, and now we do because you can get that same good flavor and crunch in a pizza in the air fryer that you have the first day. You can make bloomin' onions, fried squash, zucchini, eggplant. You can make bruschetta, avocado fries, cauliflower bites, roasted broccoli, kale chips, mozzarella sticks, regular fries, again, sweet potato fries, corn on the cob, baked potato, croutons, beef jerky, bacon, grilled cheese, Philly cheesesteak, French toast, pancakes, scones, again, biscuits, banana bread, cheesecake pie, brownies, lava cake, cookies, churros, apple chips. Again, I told you I've made roasted Brussels sprouts, and that is just the beginning of what you can make in your air fryer. So don't only think about fried foods when you think about whether or not an air fryer is worth it. We tend to say if you can make it in the oven, you most likely can make it in the air fryer. So think about it that way. And then I'm going to share some tips with you, and we'll hopefully get your questions answered. Yeah? All right, so to end this, I just wanted to share with you a couple of tips that I have figured out through using the air fryer for a couple of years. And so, again, want to talk about that conversion time temperature. We want to reduce our temperature by about 25%, reduce our time by about 20%. And then really, it's just a little bit of trial and error as you learn your air fryer and the way that you like your foods, things like that. But always make sure that you're using a meat thermometer and that your foods are reaching a food safe internal temperature. And then it really is just how crispy you like it, things like that. One good thing about the air fryer is that they are getting more popular, and so a lot of convenience foods that you can make in your air fryer, fries and chicken nuggets and different things like that, they actually have directions for an air fryer on the back. And so in addition to the conventional oven and microwave oven preparation directions, you'll find air fryer on several foods as well. And so that gives you a good starting point. I mentioned about oven-safe dishes can be used in the air fryer. And so say you're making a small cheesecake or something, you can put it in the dish that you want to serve it in and just set that right inside your basket as you cook. Make sure you use a pot holder as you get that out, as it will be hot once it's done. Another big tip that I have is we have found a lot of the things that we make in our air fryer, we batter ourselves. And so if it is that traditional fried food, we actually probably cook fried foods in our air fryer the least now. But when we do batter our food, so say we're battering fish or something like that, fried squash, whatever it is, since this does circulate air, you do lose some of that batter sometimes. But a lot of the recipes call for you to drizzle some sort of olive oil or something either over your food or in the bottom of the basket, whatever it is. And we actually found that using the spray oil on top of our food, a very light coating of the spray, helped keep that batter on, and where it wasn't circulating some of our batter off. And it kept it on a little bit better, and it actually gave it a better crunch than when we just put the olive oil in the bottom of the air fryer. So that is one tip that I have to share. And another one is the air fryer is great for reheating. And so we reheat pizza, different things like that, breads, a lot of things that we wouldn't typically reheat, we'll reheat in the air fryer and get that same taste and texture as you have the day before when you made it. Please, again, ask your questions if you have them in the comment box. I will watch as this video is posted and answer all of those. I'm going to share a handout with you. I'm going to share some recipes with you in the comment box as well. And feel free to email me, message us on Facebook, the Hardin County Cooperative Extension page, and I will try to get your questions answered as quickly and as best as I can. But past that, I hope you love your air fryer. We adore ours. We use it all the time. That sounds so silly to say about an appliance, but it really is true that we use this all the time. It was well worth our money and a good investment for our family. We've saved money and we've made a lot more healthy choices using our air fryer instead of traditional frying methods. So I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you learned something from it. Let us know, and again, ask any questions you have. Thanks.